What is up, YouTube? I am your host, Jarrett, and this is Custom Points Live. I wanted to be the first to tell you guys about the new Graphite card. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, American Express officially launched the new American Express Graphite card here, and we select Learn More. We can see that it is a 2% cashback card. Even though this is Custom Points Live, today it's Custom Cashback Live. There is a $295 annual fee, which everyone was spreading the rumor of $250, but there was one comment on Doctor of Credit that did say, or actually it was on this Chinese website that said it was $295, and they were right. You get $1,500 back after spending $50,000 in 6 months. We'll talk about the math shortly. What does the card come with? 2% cash back that cannot be converted to membership reward points. I just confirmed that with American Express, and 5% back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel. For our purposes today, we're going to skip this because you can get that with a business platinum card. So there's really no reason to go for this card specifically if you already have the business platinum. And of course, with the membership reward points, you can cash those out for 1 cent per point with the business checking account if you have the business platinum. And you can also cash that out at business checking Amex. And you can also cash it out with, of course, the Schwab Platinum. And that is going to get you 1.1 cents per point. And so that's going to be a 5.5% cash back, which obviously beats this. So those are the main draws of the card. You'll notice, though, that they do have this pay over time feature, which is the same as the Platinum. And we'll talk about momentarily why that's interesting. The only credit here is $2,400 towards the American Express One AP statement as a statement credit. You have to spend $250,000 to get that. So obviously this card is for people that spend. So let's talk about what has changed in the American Express lineup here. And you'll notice that for business cards, there is no longer a Plum card. The Plum card has been retired as of yesterday. Or as of today, I should say. So the other thing that's interesting to note is that there is still the Blue Business Cash and the Blue Business Plus, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. And now there is this Graphite card. So without further ado, I will also show you that I did, for science, apply for the card, and I'll show you some math and some approval steps. So give me a moment here and I'll share my screen. And let's get into the approval. So you can see here I was approved for the card. I do have that message here. Now let's start talking about some of that math with the annual fee. You're getting $1,500. You subtract the $295, which is easy to do because it's cash back, and you get a net $1,205. That $1,205 is earned over $50,000 in spend. That's 2.41% back. You add in the other 2% back you're getting with the card, and for that first $50,000 in spend, you're getting 4.41% back. That's a number we're going to keep in mind as the really only thing that you're getting initially with the card for the first $15,000 in spend. And that's, of course, factoring in the $295 annual fee. So this is the draw of the card, at least in the first year. Usually with American Express, we're going to have 3 months to spend with a business card. To my knowledge, this is the highest card spend requirement that is now broken up over 6 months. And of course, you have the per month amount here. And then if that were a 3-month card, that'd be $25,000. Pretty easy to divide 50,000 by 2. And so let's talk about some math about how to justify that $295 annual fee if it makes sense for you to do so, which most people this card is not going to be for, but we'll talk about who it is for momentarily. So you take the $295 and you divide it by the 2% that you're earning. And that means that if you're spending above $15,000 and you need that unlimited cap, like the other cards do offer, basically it makes potential sense to spend on this card, but of course, the first 15,000 of your spend is not earning anything because it's negated the 2% by the $295 annual fee. This is what it looks like when you have it in your Apple Apple Card, excuse me, Apple Wallet. Sorry, I'm not a morning person. And then here, I wanted to compare this card to some other cards that might be a better fit, and for most people are. This is the Ink Business Premier card by Chase. We'll talk about the differences in the sign up bonus math momentarily. But the most important thing is that you are getting 2.5% cash back on purchases above 5,000, and you're getting a flat 2% back on everything, just like this card for cash back. It does have similar stuff, 5% on Chase Travel, also adds in Lyft. So you can go through the math on that for yourself. Some other math I wanted to just quickly do. Sorry for doing this out of order, but I just wanted to give you all the math while we were going. But 295 divided by the Schwab amount, basically, that you could cash out for, equals $26,800 in spend. So what that means is if you were to spend on your Business Platinum card and you were to cash out using Schwab, anything less than 26,000 per year, 27,000 almost, it would be better to put the spend on the Business Platinum. And so this card is very much for people that are spending far beyond that, and why it would be worth it for them to do so. Now let's compare some of the differences between what are available in other cards. Let's take into account that Chase card that I just showed you, the Ink Premier, and you would get for the first 10,000 in spend, 12% back. You minus out that 4.41% back that you would get with the Graphite card, and that gives you 7.59%. So we're going to do some more math like that here and break down a little comparison. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. And I wish that this software made it a little bit easier and faster, but they just don't. Let's see. So here's my comparison notes. So for our purposes, we are skipping that 5% back on Amex Travel because, like I said, you can do better with MR. So let's look at the two comparative cards that are the most obvious. The first one would be the Chase Ink Business Premier. You are getting 2.5% for purchases above 5,000, so that's why it would be better. It's $100 less of an annual fee. The annual fee for that one was $195 versus the $295, and there is that 7.59% higher return for your first 10,000, as we discussed. The Capital One Spark Cash Plus is better for cash back that can be flexibly converted to points. If you're not aware that miles cannot be converted into cash back with Capital One, but Capital One cashback can be converted into miles if you or someone in your household, I believe it is, has a venture card that earns miles. You can send them your cashback. I think they also have to have a cashback card. So like the Quicksilver would be an example. They could have that. And then, they can then convert that to miles. So there is a way to convert cashback to miles, which is why I do believe the Capital One Spark Cash Plus is superior for people with a lot of spend. That said, you could just get the Venture X Business if you just want the points. So that's simpler. Obviously, it's based on your approval, and we'll talk about that momentarily. There is a $145 annual fee difference. So the annual fee for the Spark Cash Plus is $150 and 4.26% higher return on your first 30,000 in spend based on their sign-up bonus. So you are earning more, 4.26% more than if you were going with the Amex card. The Amex Business Platinum is better if you have purchases that are $5,000 or more. So you should, even if you got the Graphite card, you should still spend any purchases above 5,000 on your Business Platinum. You should still use your Business Gold if you are using any category that earns 4x on that Business Gold. So that's still the better deal for those categories. And then if you have lower spend, the Amex Business Blue Business Plus is better for no annual fee, and instead of percent cash back, you're earning 2x MR points. The cons of this card, of course, is that there is a preset spending limit, whereas with the Graphite, there is not. There is an earnings cap, and it takes up to one of your five American Express slots for credit cards, whether business or personal cards. You have only 5 that you can get per person. The same are all true for the Blue Business Cash, except of course it still earns cash back just like the Graphite does. So who is the Graphite for? That's what the main question is here. If you have high business spend, but you can't get approved for the better Chase nor Capital One alternatives, that is my situation. My wife has Chase cards. I'm well above 524, and I had no interest in going below 524. So I could get the business preferred for my wife, but I do plan on putting a lot of spend on this card. So that's why I got the card. The Capital One alternative, I would love, man. I have tried multiple times, every way I possibly could to get the Spark Cash Plus. I even got a mailer, and the mailer was offering me that card, and I was like so excited, like, oh man, I got a mailer, I got like a unique code, I'll totally get approved. No, and I tried my newer business, and I also tried a business that I've had for 10 years, and that's the one that I also did the same with this Graphite card. The newer business did not get approved. It didn't get denied, but it said that they wanted more. I forget what it's called. It's that IRS form. I can't think of the name of it right now. And then I applied immediately for the card that I have, or the business that I have with them for a long time. That's 10 years old, and I got instant approval. So that's one thing, is that I would definitely go for either of those other options if you can, and if you cannot, or if you're interested in these other things, this would be a reason to go for the card. Is you have high business spend, and you either find Amex purchase protections or their customer service better than Chase or Capital One. I think Chase's customer service isn't bad, and I haven't heard too many terrible things about Capital One. But people do find Amex to be superior. So if you're really leaning into Amex and that's what you want, completely understood. The other reason to spend on this card, if you do have a ton of business spend, is if you are going to try to spend toward being invited to Business Centurion, which is the business black card. The Business Centurion does come with the ability to get a 50% boost on your MR points when you're booking through Chase Travel for flights. Whereas with the Business Platinum, you get that 35% rebate. It's a 50% rebate with the Business Centurion. So instead of 1.54 cents per point, which you're getting with the Business Platinum, you would get a 2 cents per point. There is a cap. I believe it's 1 million. So million points, which is relatively low. I don't remember what the number was off the top of my head, but it's still not terribly useful to go for Centurion, especially with the 5,000 in spend, unless you can justify some of the things you're getting from that. So even if you're interested in Business Centurion, it's more of the status symbol than it is completely makes sense from a math perspective. You also have to have a lot of purchases under that 5,000, because of course, as we discussed, it'd be better to put that spend on Business Platinum or Business Gold if it's those categories. And the other reason would be that you prefer 2% cash back instead of 1x MR. The reason why 1x MR is insufficient is because if you're not planning on using those points for transfer partners, which most people that are on this channel watching this know how to and should, and including myself, I get enough MR points with other methods that I don't really need to put my spend on my Platinum, and really I would feel super frustrated, especially with the business that I'm launching momentarily, that I'm going to be putting a lot of spend on the card. I don't plan on just wanting to use a Platinum, but the benefit for me is that I do want a no preset spending limit card. So in my particular situation, I cannot get these cards, which I would most definitely prefer, especially the Capital One card. I don't really care one way or the other about the purchase protections or customer service in my particular situation. And a lot of the purchases that I'll be making are going to be under 5,000. and not within a business gold category. And yes, I do prefer 2% cash back for all of the spend than 1x MR in my given situation, just because I'd rather be able to reinvest the cash. And 2% is much higher than the 1.1 that I would get with the Schwab. So the other thing to keep in mind that I'm hoping that Amex does is that hopefully, if you'll notice, they do have, like I said, the business cash and the business plus, right? There's the business cash that earns 2% and the business plus that earns 2x. Both of them have a very low limit compared to people that would want to spend on this card. So I'm assuming that if Amex realizes it, that there is an opportunity for them to have a business plus of the Graphite card, which would earn 2x MR uncapped paired with the Schwab. That would actually mean that you're getting 2.2% back, which would actually beat these other cards here. Because these cards, you cannot get anything above 2% with that Chase card other than things above 5,000. So if you're spending less than 5,000 and you wanted to earn 2.2%, a business plus Graphite card, if you're listening, Amex, would be absolutely welcomed. And you would have every reason and justification to exist. Whereas right now, you can see that there's a very limited group of people that this Graphite card is for. I'm one of them, but I am definitely in the minority here, and I'm not lying to myself about that. So we'll see how this card goes. I'm interested to see if they start adding more credits and things like that, because obviously, it doesn't make a lot of sense as is. So anyways, that's enough out of me. I really appreciate your time, and thank you guys for watching.